What's up, America? This is Kim and Neil with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to talk about a question we get a lot, which is muzzle discipline. What is better, muzzle up or muzzle down?
Let's find out. All right, so we get this question a lot. And so in my times of training and all over the country of training with different trainers, especially military trainers, there's always, it's kind of a joke, but it actually is pretty telling. And the comment is always, when you're in a helicopter, muzzle down. When you're in a boat, muzzle up. The truth of the matter is, it's very true. It's very situationally dependent, okay? So let's just take a look at something real quick. And I'll be honest with you, even in law enforcement, rarely ever do I see muzzle up. And I think that's a mistake, okay? Because there's a lot of scenarios where muzzle up makes a lot of sense. So we can do an extended video on different positions, but essentially you're going to get two fundamental positions when it comes to muzzle up or muzzle down. This isn't going to be exactly correct. I don't know how much of my body that you can see, but when we talk about muzzle down, you're going to see you're going to hear the term sul a lot, okay? S-U-L, which is Portuguese for south, meaning that the muzzle is pointed down. And what that really looks like in a perfect world is that our thumbs touch, okay? The thumbs are touching, and the back of my hand is where the actual gun is going to rest. The front of my hand, especially my fingertips, will make contact with my body. A lot of times this is going to be in scenarios where we're actually, almost every time, it's going to be in a scenario where we're wearing some type of kit, some type of body armor. And so I'm not going to necessarily be able to feel it, but I will be able to feel my fingertips as I touch my body armor, okay? So I'm going to bring that in. And because we're wearing body armor and a bunch of other equipment, at my job, for example, I've got a radio here and mag pouches and all kinds of stuff on here. So there's all this added distance. And where this comes into play a lot is when I'm in an area where either we're going in as a team, meaning there's people in front of me and potentially people behind me. And I know that doesn't apply to most of you, but the second area is that there's going to be people around us, and that will apply to almost every one of us, okay? Obviously, keeping my muzzle out and moving around is not the idea there. So essentially what's going to happen is my thumbs come together, these are contact points, and I can feel that touch my armor or my chest, okay? If I'm not wearing armor, I'm out around going to Walmart or whatever, then I can feel that actually make contact with my body. And at this point, the gun is in a position where none of my extremities are in any way coming in contact with the muzzle there. I can obviously rotate and move around. Kim is behind the camera right now and obviously in no danger of me because my muzzle is down, okay? So I can rotate. It's something that we would use in a position where after we were shooting, we would bring the gun back. So we're shooting, we're bringing the gun back, and we're going to check our surroundings, okay? And that's a good way to do that. Now, it doesn't apply to all things. For example, what if I were in a scenario where there's a bunch of children in the area? Like, what if I had to go into a school? Well, unfortunately, that's a very realistic scenario. Sul position, no matter where you really move your gun up and down, you're still pointed downward, and that's not an ideal scenario, okay? We joked about being in a boat, but essentially, it's possible. That's probably not an ideal scenario. There's a bunch of situations we can come up with where this is not ideal. Now, the second position that we're going to talk about is going to be temple index. So we all know that on the side of our head we have a temple here, which, by the way, is also an excellent place to strike if you're in a self-defense scenario. But temple index simply means that I'm bringing the gun up, and what I'm really doing is with the palm area of my thumb here, I'm going kind of behind my ear so that my gun is here, all right? I can actually feel it here as I move around, all right? Now, as you notice from the top of my head, now I realize there's going to be a very tiny percentage of people who are going to be wearing a helmet or ear protection. I get that. And again, that would just rest on my ear pro, for example, okay? But for most of us going around town, if we ever had to be in this position, this is going to come here. And the reason that we have this here is because I am now physically, okay, tactically with my fingers, kinetically, I'm aware of where this muzzle is. I don't need to see it to know that obviously that the gun is not pointed at my head, especially under stress. So that comes here. Where this is really useful, number one, if I'm in a vehicle, for example, and I have my partner or my wife or my kid or whomever sitting in the passenger side, and I need to engage potentially a threat over here. I'm not talking about being in law enforcement. I mean, I'm at the grocery store and there's an active shooter or whatever the case is, or someone's trying to break into my car or whatever the case is. From here, right, if I bring this gun up here, I can rotate. My passenger is here. I'm in no way moving past them. Now imagine trying to do SUL in a car. Number one, that is literally the most dangerous thing ever. You're pointing right at your extremities. Two, you're going to be swiping everything in that car, and then you got to bring the gun up. But if we go to SUL position, now I can move no problem, and I can go behind the shooter. Behind my passenger. Obviously, we have the ability now with our other hand to move that person out of the way or bend them forward to access that area. But whatever the case is, I can move freely. I could essentially have someone else, if I were in the passenger side, if I had to move around, I can still do the same thing, okay, without muzzling my own self. And we go back to that school scenario, situation where there's people down, or a scenario where there is shooting taking place and people are hitting the ground, okay? Again, not a great idea. So in that case, temple index would be ideal for that, okay? Now I have control of that. You're going to notice too, a lot of times I bring my hand up here because my hand is here, ready to move anything or do anything, but most importantly, I'm able to bring that gun right down into it. So it's a very fast position as well, okay? SUL is not that much different. I'm already here, but don't discount the fact that we can still get hands on that gun if we have to. So even though you just saw me clear the gun, we're still going to do this with this safety gun. Here's a scenario too as well. You know your layout better than anybody, and I'm the first one to tell you, do not clear your house. Do not clear your house. Go into a safe room. You know, get your family in there and protect that safe room. But I also realize, realistically, unfortunately, there's going to be times where you are out of your home, your family may be in the home, and you know you come home to a kicked-in door or whatever, and I realize that you want to take action because your family may be in imminent danger. And in that case, you're going to do what you're going to do. Now, you know your layout better than anyone. And I can tell you from a law enforcement perspective as well, we go into buildings and apartments and whatnot that we've been to several times because unfortunately a lot of times the same people act up and we get called, and we know the layout of these facilities. And I'm always talking to people because we know that when this door opens, we're going to be potentially going upstairs because that's the only route we have, right? And where is everybody? So I have this team of people, and there's, you know, a person in front of me, person behind me, and where are they all? In SUL. Now think about this. The moment we go through that door, and potentially we could be having to use our firearms, any threats are going to be up top because we're going right up a staircase. So what is person here, let's say in person number 2, right? Inevitably, I realize that everybody, I hate to say it, but police officers, unless they're SWAT trained or get a special training or they take it upon themselves to train other words, don't get a tremendous amount of trigger time, if you know what I mean. So they enter a building, and then all of a sudden, of course, they're stressed because there's potentially somebody up there that's going to do harm to them, and then what do? Right? And they just bring the gun up under a stressful scenario, right up the back or right in front of their partner. Had we thought about that prior, we could have been in temple index in this case, so that when we actually enter that doorway, okay, and we go up, we're already in that position to be able to take advantage of any type of threats from an upper level, okay, rather than trying to flag everybody in a position SUL. All right, guys, so that was kind of a crash course there for you guys. Again, doesn't matter whether it's military LEOs or civilians. The position of your muzzle is going to be dependent upon the surroundings and the environment in which you're in and the situation, okay? So it depends. That's the big answer there. I highly recommend you guys get training, especially in your area. I would love you guys to come to us. You guys know that at Geauga Firearms Academy, but I realize distance and whatever and cost may be a barrier. So find some good training in your area, but just understand that if you guys want to see more videos or some more explanations or even some more different hold positions or the purpose of those, we would love to bring that to you as well. Most importantly, before we finish this video up, we must never forget the most important thing. which is to make sure that we are ready to go. Okay. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Twitter. Where's our A stuff go? Our stuff goes to Patreon. So if you want to get exclusive content, check us out there and support us. For nothing else, we really appreciate it. That's what keeps the wheels turning on this machine. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.